Things happen quickly, very, very quickly. Never forget that, ever. So, as with everything in life, I'm just one person and you're just one person, but together we're a lot of people. We have to make some decisions, and that's the point, I think, of the work we do, to let you know what the options are and for you to be realistic, reasonable, and wise about where we go.
You will own nothing and be happy.
The privacy movement has a long road ahead because the technology has gotten too good. We're surrounded by microphones and cameras and a pervasiveness that would make George Orwell blush. And there's not a lot of regulation or control over these things to protect your privacy. One of the reasons why I'm so deeply embedded in the blockchain industry is because it's the only regulating function that can actually give you a guarantee that what's on the label is actually what's in the can. If you're promised something with a blockchain, you get at least a basic guarantee that that's probably true. There's nothing in life anymore like that. We can't trust our institutions anymore. We just can't. They've become morally bankrupt. We can't trust our leaders anymore. We can't trust the process upon which the leaders are accepted anymore. That's why our industry exists, in a nutshell. That's why we do what we do. It's why I work on things like Midnight, because I say, what could actually give you some semblance of privacy back with some reasonable guardrails and boundaries so that you can actually live your life? But you have to do your part. If you truly believe in these things, nothing the NSA or the federal government has done will ever compare to the amount of information that Google knows about you or Facebook knows about you. Nothing, because it's their business. And they've hired hundreds of thousands of engineers, data scientists, researchers to wake up every single day. They've built the world's most sophisticated artificial intelligences to wake up every single day and understand just a little bit more about you because they have a financial incentive to do so, and no one controls it. That's the dirty reality and truth of the world that we live in. It's getting so bad you don't even own anything anymore. There are BMWs being sold right now where you have to pay a subscription to have heated seats, and if you don't, they get turned off. When you buy content now, movies, songs, these types of things, you used to have physical media, physical discs. You don't have that anymore. Guess what? They're now basically part of a platform. And if you get deplatformed, you lose access to all of your subscriptions. Book is inconvenient. It's on Kindle. You can wake up one day, the book is gone. This is why the motto, you'll own nothing and be happy, is repeated gleefully again and again by the Weffites running around. Why? Because there's truth to it. People are walking towards a world where you can't even repair stuff. The right to repair? Look it up. You want to know why I don't like John Deere anymore? Well, it's very simple. It's really hard to repair this stuff. You can't just swap parts. It doesn't work anymore. Software prevents you from doing that. This is the world we're heading towards, a world where you control less and less. More and more decisions are made for you, not even by people, but by algorithms. It's an incestuous relationship between the private industry and the governments of the world. And in many cases, many of the smaller governments no longer even have the power to say no. They're told by a large global order what to do. That's the problem. And that's why the blockchain industry exists. Why people are fighting hard every day, writing software every day, and deifying certain people who aren't martyrs, who benefit financially and haven't made huge sacrifices. It doesn't accomplish anything. It diminishes the movement. We don't have to have martyrs anymore because we are all living the consequences of this. We've all felt this. Whole world got shut down for 2 years and no one owes us an explanation for it. Every day, more and more freedoms are taken from us, and no one owns an explanation for it. And we're told to sit down and shut up. And any person who tries to make it a little bit better is instantly villainized and burnt to the ground. That's where we're headed towards. Okay, it's not very pleasant. So I stay optimistic. And I stay optimistic because I believe that there's enough people in the world who are tired of this, that they don't want to see this anymore. They don't want to endure this anymore. They're tired of believing that tomorrow will be worse than today. I don't want to go down that road. I don't think you do. So what you have to do is return to first principles. And you have to fight for the things that you believe in and accept that every day there are going to be some sacrifices, and every day there's going to be some ups and downs and losses. Nothing is free in life. You have to take your hard knocks, and you have to accept that there are going to be internal hypocrisies in all of us. People always say what they want, but what they do is far more important, because that tells you what they truly want. We have to be honest about that. So we need to think it through. It's a complicated thing. There's a lot of moving pieces to it. There are dangers in the world. People have to deal with them. People have to regulate them. I'm scared shitless of gain of function. I think it's probably going to end up killing the entire human race if we don't do anything about it, 25 to 30 years, because a small group of people basically can pull off an extinction event. If we've learned anything from the age of COVID, it's that how quickly things can spread. And if we get so unlucky that something is a bit more lethal, we're done. Where is the great lesson, the great regulation? Nuclear age, my grandfather dealt with this. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world woke up and realized how incredibly dangerous nuclear weapons were. Created a tight regulatory structure. And even then, we almost wiped out the whole human race. And only by the actions of two individuals on two separate times, one in 1962 and one in the 1980s, did the human race not come to an end. A single person in both cases. Not a president, not a king, not a grand scientist or an exalted person. Both cases, a mid-grade military officer who said, man, maybe we shouldn't end the human race, who was acting against orders and the chain of command. And that's with a tightly regulated existential technology. We're entering an age where there's going to be more than a dozen of them in the 21st century. So yeah, there exist threats. We have to work our way through them. And we do that by listening to each other. We do that by engaging in dialogue with each other. We do that by admitting that we're full of contradictions and hypocrisies and letting the grandstanding go away. And we do that by recognizing we don't have all the answers today, right now, right here. And what matters more first principles and processes that help us converge to the right answers, that help us get to where we need to go. That's the truth of the matter. If we want to have all this technology, if we want to have the age of IoT, we want to live in an age where nothing is ever forgotten and benefit from that, we have to accept that we will lose privacy. It's just that simple. Now, we can regress and get rid of these things and return to an age that my grandfather and grandmother lived in, or we have to find a compromise. And it's the same with freedom of expression and commerce and all of these other things. We have to work our way through it. The point of blockchain is to at least give us some guarantees that governments can't violate and individuals can't violate. So everybody plays by the same rules. Isn't that the equality that everybody's fighting for? But that's not enough. It requires us to fill in the wisdom gap. You invent the safety belt after you invent the car because somebody got hurt and they realized they needed something more. And similarly, with all this new technology, we have to take a moment and ask ourselves, what are the safety belts for it? And if we don't, we will eventually learn them. We will eventually deal with the consequences of them, and we're already feeling it. Social media, for example, has allowed us all to know everybody else's business, but it has divided us in ways that society still cannot handle. It's made people hate people they know nothing about, they've never met and never will meet, but yet they have such a strong opinion. It's like the next door neighbor that ran over your dog. Think of that. And that's just the beginning. There's so many more things that are coming. We gleefully look at Neuralink and we say, wow, look at that monkey controlling things on the screen. Flip the page 10 years from now, 15 years from now, BCI will evolve to a point and AI will evolve to a point where computers can easily understand your intentions, motives, and thoughts, or at least enough about them to infer whether you're going along with something or not. Would you feel so comfortable if the government knew everything you thought.